Episode number 4 of the About Ewe podcast. My name is Madeline and I'll be your host for today. If you like what you see and you want to follow me online, I am Mad Bell on Ravelry and I am Mad About You on Instagram. If you're a returning viewer, thanks so much for coming back, and if you're a new viewer, welcome to the podcast. This is a podcast mostly about knitting, a little bit of sewing on occasion, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more crochet featured in the coming episodes. I haven't really had a lot of time for crafting in the last few weeks since I recorded, but I've managed to do a few things, and I thought that if I don't get this episode out sooner rather than later, it'll probably be another month before there is one, and I'd like to keep up my schedule if I can. So here we go. I just guess I'll start with what I'm wearing. So this is the Snow Day shawl by Knitting Expat Designs, and it's the first shawl I ever knit. So to be honest, I can't remember what the wool was. It is wool. It's a bit woolly, but all the information is on my Ravelry page. So I guess we'll crack on to finished objects straight away, and I only have one finished object for you this podcast, and it's this little baby hat. It's actually a preemie baby hat for friends of mine and my husband who had their baby at 30 weeks on Friday. So I'm going to catch up with them this week, and he's in the NICU, his little boy. And the present that I was going to make, which is going to be in my kind of future knitting, not obviously, but I was not prepared. So I managed to do this one on Friday night, or Friday afternoon, Friday night, and it's just a Knit Picks free pattern. It's called a Calming Baby. I'll just check my note on my iPad. Calming Baby knit hat, and it comes in a preemie, baby, toddler up to 12 size. It's a really easy pattern, and it was just a quick free one off Knit Picks. So I actually used this Knit Picks Felici worsted that I had. So it's a 75% superwash merino nylon and 25% nylon. I had bought it foolishly, not realising that if I wanted to make a pair of worsted socks, I'd need two balls, and I only had the one, and I haven't really had a reason to use it. And then obviously, I wanted a quick knit for this bubba, so I made this hat in a few hours. So yeah, really easy, quick little knit, and hopefully he'll be able to wear it soon and keep his little head warm. But yeah, 30 weeks is a tiny little precious little one, and I can't wait to meet him in a few days' time. So moving on to works in progress. I haven't shown these ones on the podcast before, and I don't believe that I've mentioned them. But if I just get it out of the bag, it's I'm making a pair of 2 at a time vanilla socks. And if you did see my Instagram, I did start these on liquor needles, and then after I posted, realised that I had made them on the wrong size. So I'd cast on using a 3mm needle, which is a US 2.5, and I'd mistakenly grabbed those instead of the Australian or the metric 2.5mm needles. So the cuff, it's all 3 Mums yarn, which is, as I've mentioned pretty much every episode, one of my favourite local dyers. So this was just a mini skein that I picked up when I first found them, and it's sat in my stash, and I haven't really had anything to do or hadn't had a use for it yet. And this is just a self-striping, which I didn't know how it would knit up, but I'm actually really happy with it. So I took a picture of the skein before I wound it, and that's one of what it looks like wound. So I'm not really following a pattern because it's a vanilla sock. I usually cast on somewhere between 60 and 64 stitches on a 2.5 millimeter needle. I think that's, actually I have no idea what that is, US. Yeah, sorry. Oh, actually no, I've got the needle packet, I can tell you. It's a US 1.5. So I'm using higher sharps only because that was the only needle I had that was the correct size when I had to pull a whole cuff out, which is really sad, but anyway. So the story with these socks is I like snow sports, and so my thought was when I'm driving to the snow, which is about 2.5 hours from Canberra where my husband lives, I would knit on these in the car to the snow, home, and then anytime in the vicinity of kind of the snowy town. So I'm back home in my home in Sydney at the moment, so I can't work on these, but I've just spent a week at the snow and I didn't really get a lot done on a work adventure training week, and I'm going back this weekend for a ladies development racing camp, so which is kind of another work related thing. So I'll be taking them with me, and hopefully I can get maybe another inch or so done. Yeah, like I said, I don't really have a pattern. I just do a 2x2 rib, and then it was 60 stitches, and I'm doing 2 at a time because I wanted to match the stripes as best as I could based on the yarn, and I'm pretty happy with how that's working out. So yeah, and I'm keeping that one in the first project bag that I ever made. And the pattern was from Hugh Loco. I think it's called the Holiday Project Bag, and I think I amended the sizes slightly, but yeah, first project bag I ever made for myself. My second work in progress is my Exploration Station by Stephen West, and that is actually being held in my Fringe field supply bag. I'm actually using the eyelet, so I think I may have mentioned that it had the eyelets in there. And I've got 2 strands at a time going at the moment, so I've got them working out of the eyelet section, and I'm almost finished section number 4, and I was really good at weaving my ends in when I started, but not so much anymore. So I've just got one more 4-row repeat of this section, and then I move into the chevron border, which is all in the colour A, which I've still got like 105 grams left of. There were 115 grams going, but as you can see, there's not been a lot of the black in here so far. So I made a little bit of mistake in this Sassy Slips section. As you can see there, it's a little bit different, but by the time I realised it was going to be too hard to pick up the stitches coming off the brioche, and I just couldn't be bothered. So you know what, it's a flaw. I know about it. It was never going to be a sample for anything. Yeah, and the yarn is Sweet Georgia yarn, which I've spoken about in previous episodes, and if you really want to know more information, you can pop to my Ravelry page and all the information is there. So at this point, I've got 391 stitches on the needles. My next 4-row repeat will increase by 4. So every row is taking me a really long time, but it's nearly done. I'm really happy with it. Like, I'm happy with the knit. I've learnt a few different techniques, which has been really good. I've done the brioche, which is excellent. If I had to do it again, I probably would choose some different colours. I feel like there may be a little bit too much pink, or maybe instead of doing the black where I did the charcoal, I might have done that instead of the purple and had the purple as the accent and the border. But regardless, I'm working my way through my Stephen West book of shawls. And it's been a really fun knit. I'm just 390 something stitches is a lot, and I think by the time I finish the next section it's going to be like 500 and something. I had the pattern. Oh, here we go. The pattern is handy. Four 471 stitches by the end. Actually, it's not as bad as I thought. Like, it's only an extra 75-ish stitches. Oh, and then there's an I-cord bind off. So let me set aside a day and a half for the I-cord bind off, and it'll be done. So hopefully by the next time I podcast, it will be a finished object. I'm just checking my notes. That's all I've got for works in progress. There's the coziest memory blanket, but I haven't added anything to that since I last showed you, so there's no point really in me talking about that one. But I do want to talk about my wish knitting. So I did purchase Interpretations 4, which is it's by Pom Pom Press, and it's a pattern book by Johi Locatelli and Vera Valimaki. And it actually has the radio sweater jumper that I've been talking about for the last couple of episodes. However, I've just realised I've left it in the car, so I'll talk about that actual book next episode when I talk about my the most recent thing. What is it? Pom Pom edition magazine that I received in the mail probably about a month ago, actually, that I don't think I've talked about. Or maybe I did. Anyway, they're both Pom Pom Press, so I might talk about them next time. However, for the little bub that just arrived in our friendship group, that sounds so weird. For our friend's baby who was just born, I was semi-organised. I thought I had 10 more weeks to get myself sorted, but I didn't. So I purchased this book, which is Edward's Menagerie. It's over 40 soft and snuggly toy animal crochet patterns by Kerry Lord. And as you can see here, there's heaps of really cute little animals. And I thought, you know what, I do like crochet. I haven't crocheted in a really long time. And I have made knitted toys for the last 2 babies that were born. And I just didn't really feel like I had it in me to knit a stuffy. However, I thought, yep, I can crochet. So I was going to make Emma Bunny, but it's a little boy. So I think I'm still going to make Emma Bunny, but I will, it's obviously paid for book. So I try not to show too much of the pattern. You don't see that there is a tail. Oh, okay, so there's a tail, but the one I saw at my local yarn shop, Skein Sisters, had a pom-pom tail, which is what I was going to do, and I actually had thought that I might use some of the leftover yarn from this to make the pom-pom tail, but I've just had a look and the pattern actually has a tail, so who knows what I'm going to do. Hot mess. I'll figure that out and I'll show you when it's done. But I had purchased the yarn, so I had to order it in from another yarn store which is quite close to me called Morris & Sons. So I had looked up what I would need before I bought the book. Actually, I bought it online, so it had to come to me, and I ordered this in. So the colour is Robot, and it's all the same dye lot. It's colour 1249, and it's 100% Australian wool. So look, it's marine, it's machine washable, do not tumble dry. So I want something that's pretty durable for a little, huggy toy for our friend's baby. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'll make Emma the bunny now that I know it's a boy. I'll have another look through and see what I can do. But anyway, it's exciting, and I'm going to be doing some crochet. So that's that. Whilst on that tangent, I thought possibly I could talk about the crochet hooks that I bought. So before I had expensive knitting needles, I also had a really nice set of these they're tulip crochet hooks that I had purchased as a set from Morris & Sons, actually. A few years ago. This was before I learnt to knit. And my husband used to call them the Ferrari crochet hooks, just based on the price. But I'd had tried a lot of crochet hooks in my time, and this was sort of my favourite. So I bought the set, and anytime I crocheted pretty much since I bought them, I've always used this one. So I'll be using one of those hooks when I make my Emma Bunny. And then finally, wish knitting. It's actually wish sewing. So I've also come prepared and got a picture. So I want to make, or I've bought the pattern for this Finch bucket bag. This one here. So it's a paid for pattern on Etsy. It's by Stitch Mischief. And my friend Paula, who was my first fibre share partner from the States, made one. And she posted it on her Instagram. And she actually has an Etsy shop. And if you are in the States and you like project bags, or you want to... I will find out her details. Yeah, so her Etsy is doxonstudios.etsy.com. So I'll just load that up and I'll leave a link below in the show notes. So this is her little Etsy logo here. So yeah, if you, oh gosh, trying to get me to sign in. Anyway, there's a really cute picture of one of her dogs in the bag for size. So apparently it fits 10 skeins of yarn, which is really exciting. So I bought the pattern because obviously I've talked about that radiate sweater. I don't have a bag that will fit all, well, I think it's about 6 skeins of DK weight or 8 ply that it'll use. So that's a lot of yarn. So I'm going to look through, I'm going to print the pattern when I go to work tomorrow because I don't have a printer at home. And then I'm going to have a look at my fabric stash and see what I've got. And if I've got the materials, I'll probably make that maybe one night this week or in the next couple of weeks. So that's really exciting, and that's in my wish. Maybe this segment should be called wish making. Yeah, 1 second. I'll have a quick sip of water. So the next section is acquisitions, and I haven't actually no, that's a lie. So I purchased that book that I talked about, the Edwards Menagerie, and I've also purchased this book here, which is the Mindfulness in Knitting, Meditations on Craft and Calm by Rachel Matthews. So I actually haven't started this book yet, but I use knitting as a form of meditation. So I thought, okay, well, maybe it's worth a read. And I was talking to one of my friends actually about it. I've been on a book buying spree, and she doesn't buy a lot of books. So I'm going to be a little bit more conservative and figure out what I can get from the library. Particularly in terms of knitting books, there's been a few when I've like, oh, yep, I like the look of that, and I've just bought it on sale and it's winged its way to me, and I've never looked at it. So probably not really economical, and I will have to kind of reconsider what I buy. But I'm really happy, and I might read sort of a couple of pages of this before I go to bed each night. That's my plan. So since I spoke to you last, my fibre share package arrived from my partner Ricky in San Francisco in America, and I have actually filmed a separate video because I didn't know what I would break into and what I wouldn't before I filmed, so I'll insert that either here or possibly at the end. But I just wanted to give you a quick look at all of the yarn that she sent me. So I'm really excited. Some of these makers I've never heard of before, and then there's this one here, which is a homespun house, and it comes with I think it was a Simply Serving project keeper, and it's called Weasley is Our King. It's from the Harry Potter Club. So yeah, so excited because I'm a massive Harry Potter fan, and I'm going to probably make a pair of socks out of this. But the other thing is a lot of these colours are quite similar, so I feel like some of them will go well together. And I've been looking at patterns, and there's a Vera Valimaki pattern called the Stay Soft Shawl, I think. Anyway, I've followed the hashtag on Instagram, and there's some really beautiful patterns. So whilst I'm kind of over shawls, I say as I've got like enough yarn for however many, and I have 2 that I've bought specifically. But I'll get back there. Yeah, so that was, the yarn that I got, as well as the liquor needles that I was trying. So this is the one I should have been using, not the one that I actually did, but I really enjoyed it. Like, I only made 1 cuff, and to be honest, I might actually swap these out with the higher highs that I've got on the needles at the moment if I don't think it's going to change the gauge too much. And also some tough woolens. So it's sock soap, and it smells really yum. So I might actually put that in one of my boxes of knits until I get around to using it. Yeah, I'm just looking at what I've got, and I think that's everything. I did get a message on Ravelry about maybe talking about some of my favourite things. So This was kind of a shortish episode, and whilst I haven't really got a lot of progress on things to talk to you about, I thought maybe I would do a quick chat about my favourite needles. So I talked about my favourite crochet hooks, the Tulip. I think they're called Etimo Rose, and I don't know if the rose is because they're pink, because the Etimo is that particular style and handle. But my favourite knitting needles are the ChiaoGoo red lace. So I bought this as a birthday present for myself, or as my birthday present, last February, or maybe anyway, I bought it for my birthday early last year. And I hadn't used them before, but I'd done a lot of research. I'd used the Higher Sock Sharp needles. I'd heard good things about the added click, but ultimately my research led me to buy this. So I bought the complete set, which whilst it says complete, it actually doesn't have US size 7 needles, I think. And I actually had a project that, US 10.75, but metric size 7 millimeters, sorry. So I actually bought those, but there's space in here for extra needles, and it goes from a US 2.75 up to from a US 2 or a 2.75 to a US 15 or a 10 millimeter needle, so they're pretty fat. And then it also came with a set of stitch markers, and then you get extra all the cables. Now I actually bought extra cables when I was doing my Starting Point by Joji Locatelli last year, just because I was working the pieces. The way the pattern's constructed is you work the 2 triangles and then you join them together. So I didn't have multiple of the same length cord, so anyway I went to Knitting Co., which is an Australian yarn supplier store. They're kind of closed at the moment while they're on maternity leave, but I'm pretty sure that's where I bought them from, but there's plenty of places you can buy them. And I bought extra of a few of, just dropping everything, extra of a few of these sizes. So they come in small and large depending on the actual needle. And ChiaoGoo have actually brought out a mini twist lace set, which you can use for socks and hats, and probably mostly socks just because of the actual size of the needle. And I have had a look at them and I'm pretty tempted, but I think I've got enough needles at the moment. And I also bought extra. So it came with a pack of 2 stitch stoppers, which you just screw in. Here's one I prepared earlier. So that's just the cable. It's got the size written on there. And then these tips come in either 4-inch or 5-inch tips. So I'm pretty sure I bought the 5. And I didn't really realize the difference between the 5 and the 6. So if you are going to buy a set, it's a pretty big investment. I'd probably do a bit more research and figure out whether you want the 4mm tips or the 5mm tips. But yeah, they just screw in like this, and then there's a little, get a little screw and you can tighten them. But yeah, it's a really nice tapered point. It's not too sharp. The high sharps, when I've been knitting socks, I've put holes in my fingers before. I can't say that all of the high sharp needles are would do that to you, but the ones in my experience, the really small ones, they're sharp. But I know a lot of people love them, so I think it's all up to personal preference. And to be honest, I guess I spent enough money on this kit that I didn't really have a choice but to love them, so it was lucky that I did. But that being said, there's a lot of Ravelry D-Stash groups where people are selling knitting needle sets, so you probably could, on sale if you wanted to, but I haven't found the need yet. And then I guess finally, in terms of knitting needle sets, another set that I bought earlier this year, maybe it was late last year, I've only started using it recently when I was on that hat kick, but it's the Knitter's Pride Platina. So Knitter's Pride Nova Platina interchangeable 16-inch circular set. So I don't think that ChiaoGoo or Higher had a 16-inch set when I bought this, and if they did, I probably would have bought that. I had to buy this off Amazon, but it's it comes in US 4 which is a 3.5, to a US 10, which is a 6mm, which is pretty good, you know, in terms of what you would need for a hat in a range of sizes. And I know some people do knit socks on two 16-inch circulars, which I've never done before, but apparently it's a thing and it works for some people. So for hats, I found this is really good if you don't want a magic loop, which I don't usually have a problem with magic looping, but sometimes it's not something I'm interested in. So yeah, that's my favourite needle sets that I have. I really don't have anything else new to talk about. I'll insert that little clip of me talking about my fibre share. I did a nice little flat lay, and I was really excited about that. So thanks again, Ricky, for some beautiful yarns that I can't wait to actually make something out of. So yeah, that's all I have for you this week, or this episode. Like I said at the beginning, if you want to follow me online, I'll pop it up here, but I'm Mad Bell on Ravelry, and I keep pretty good project pages up to date, and also I'm Mad About You on Instagram, so mad.about.ewe. Happy to have new followers, and if you have any questions or suggestions, send me a message on Ravelry or a message on Instagram. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye. So I thought I'd just do a quick little video about my fibre share package that I recently received. So I got some Licker driftwood needles, and they're in sock size, so a 2.5mm and a 3mm in metric size needles. So I'm pretty excited to give those a go. I don't usually like wood needles, but I've heard really great things about the Licker needles, so maybe my next cast on will have to be one of those. So the first yarn, I've never actually heard of this company before, Sinister Yarns, but it's an American-based company, and this one is Mellow Shifty Sock, which is a superwash merino nylon, as you can see, and I'm pretty sure it was, Mellow Grello. So it's a skein of sock yarn plus a contrasting mini for heels, toes and cuffs, which is pretty cool. This next one is Witch Fibre Co, and I've never heard of this company either, and I can't even begin to pronounce that. But it's also got a contrasting mini for heels and toes, possibly. This is Woolberry Fibre Company, and I actually follow Bethany on Instagram and have done for a while. So this one is Rosie's Wildflowers, and it's a cozy sock base. And then the next one, I've never heard of this company either, Pigeon Roof Studios. So I did some Googling, and I think she's in Oregon, Portland, Oregon. And this one was called Rose Wine. It's a DK weight hand spun, so I'm really excited. I've never worked with hand spun before. And these colours go quite well together actually, so I'm pretty excited. Next one is Wool & Vine. So I've never ever had some Wool & Vine yarns before, but I watched the Yarngasm podcast, and I've looked at these yarns for such a long time. So it's on the Footsie base, which is a Blue Fleece Leicester nylon, and I've never used BFL before either. So the colourway is Tiptoe, and it's a nice kind of light, more mauvey kind of colour with some green speckles. And this one, which quite possibly actually might make me the most excited, is a Homespun House, and it's from a Yarn and Charm Club last year. So it's a Simply Serving charm, and the colourway is called Weasley is Our King. So it's a soft sock merino fingering weight, and if that'll focus, hopefully. Yeah, the colourway is Weasley is Our King. So I'm a bit of a Harry Potter fan, have been for a long time, so I'm really excited about that one. And then finally some other goodies. So I've always wanted to try Tuft Woolens, but I haven't been able to find them in Australia. So that top one in the sugarcane is a wool wash. So from their website, you just lather the soap bar up like you would a normal bar of soap and pop that in the water and soak your items and then rinse. And then the bottom one is a luxury bath bar, so I might take that with me next time I go on holidays. And then finally, there was some chocolate, which I haven't eaten yet, but I haven't packed those. It's a Californian poppy and some stitch markers or progress keepers. So yeah, thank you very much to my fibre share friend Ricky for this beautiful present. I love fibre share. You get to make new fibre friends all around the globe if you decide. And yeah, I really can't wait to work with some of these yarns, and hopefully I can come up with a project that might incorporate a few of them in together.